You pull up to a gas station, grab the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and fuel starts flowing into your car. It feels immediate, local, almost boring. But that simple moment hides one of the biggest supply chains in everyday life, because the gasoline going into your car did not begin at that station. It did not begin in your city. And by the time it reaches the pump, it has usually passed through oil fields, tank farms, pipelines, refineries, blending terminals, tanker trucks, storage systems, and a huge amount of testing and coordination. In fact, the exact origin of the gasoline you buy is often impossible to pin down. By the time gasoline reaches retail stations, it has usually gone through so many stages of refining, transport, storage, and blending that the original crude source is no longer something an ordinary driver could trace. That is not because the system is mysterious, it is because the system is enormous. So in this video, we are going to follow that path. From crude oil in the ground to gasoline in your tank, and from giant industrial systems most people never see to the small everyday moment that makes the whole chain feel invisible. Because putting gas in your car may look simple, but it only looks simple because the infrastructure behind it is doing an incredible amount of work. The first thing to understand is that gasoline begins as crude oil. Crude oil is liquid petroleum found underground, and before it becomes something useful for an engine, it has to be produced, moved, and heavily processed. In the United States, refineries make gasoline from crude oil and other liquids that may come from domestic production, imports, or a mix of both. The specific mix can change depending on cost and availability. That already tells you something important about gasoline. It is not a simple one-location product. It is the result of a network. Crude oil usually starts at an oil field, moves into storage, and then travels by gathering systems, pipelines, ships, barges, rail, or trucks until it reaches a refinery. PHMSA describes three main pipeline stages in this route: gathering systems that collect crude from production areas, crude oil pipelines that carry crude to refineries, and refined products pipelines that move finished fuels such as gasoline toward end users or storage terminals. Once crude reaches a refinery, the story changes from transportation to transformation. This is the part of the journey most people know exists, but few people picture clearly. A refinery is not a machine that simply makes gasoline. It is a large industrial system that separates crude oil into components, converts heavier material into lighter and more valuable products, and then treats and blends those streams into final fuels. The EIA describes three broad refining steps: separation, conversion, and treatment. The first major step is separation. Crude oil is heated and sent into distillation units, where its different components separate according to boiling point. Lighter fractions rise higher, heavier fractions settle lower, and the refinery begins sorting crude into streams that can be processed further. But this first cut is only the start. Refineries do not simply skim gasoline off the top and call it finished. They keep working on the streams that come out of distillation. That is where conversion becomes important. Heavy, lower-value fractions can be broken apart or rearranged into lighter, higher-value components. EIA notes that cracking is the most widely used conversion method, and that reforming and alkylation are also used to create better gasoline components. This matters because modern gasoline is not just a raw slice of crude. It is a carefully built blend made from multiple process streams. Then comes treatment and blending inside the refinery itself. This is where refinery technicians combine streams to meet targets like octane and vapor pressure before the product moves onward. On average, US refineries produce about 19 to 20 gallons of motor gasoline from a 42-gallon barrel of crude oil, along with many other products such as diesel, jet fuel, asphalt, petrochemical feedstocks, and more. In 2023, EIA's average was 19.57 gallons of finished motor gasoline per barrel of crude input. That is another important part of the story. A refinery is not a gasoline factory in the narrow sense. It is a product splitting and product building system. gasoline is only one of the major things it produces, even if it is one of the most visible to drivers. Once the refinery has produced gasoline blend stocks and finished products, the next challenge is getting them closer to the places where drivers actually buy fuel. Most gasoline moves from refineries through pipelines to large terminals near the places where people actually buy fuel. At those terminals, gasoline blend stocks, finished gasoline, ethanol, and sometimes additives are combined into the final product that will be sold at the pump. From there, tanker trucks carry the finished gasoline to retail stations. This part of the journey is easy to miss because the pipelines are mostly out of sight, but they are doing one of the biggest jobs in the system. They move huge volumes of fuel more continuously and more efficiently than fleets of trucks ever could on their own. Without refined products pipelines, the last part of the gasoline system would become much slower, more expensive, and much more fragile. PHMSA notes that refined products pipelines can stretch tens to thousands of miles. Then the fuel reaches terminals, and this is where gasoline often becomes truly finished for retail sale. EIA explains that blending terminals are more numerous and more widely dispersed than refineries, and that gasoline blend stocks, finished gasoline and fuel ethanol, are blended there into finished motor gasoline in different grades and formulas. Many terminals also add detergents or other additive packages before fuel is delivered to retail outlets. This terminal stage matters because it explains something many drivers never think about. The gasoline sold at different stations in the same area may have passed through the same terminal. EIA notes that different companies owning service stations in the same area may purchase fuel at the same bulk storage and distribution terminal, and the main differences can come down to additive packages blended before delivery. It also explains why ethanol is part of the story. Most gasoline sold in the United States contains ethanol, and EIA says most finished motor gasoline sold in the US is about 10% fuel ethanol by volume. In practice, much of that ethanol blending happens at or near terminals rather than back at the refinery. Ethanol is a common part of finished US motor gasoline, especially in the E10 form that dominates the market. Once the gasoline is ready, the final visible stage begins. Tanker trucks load at terminals and carry finished fuel to retail stations. EIA says tanker trucks deliver finished motor gasoline from blending terminals to more than 100,000 retail outlets across the United States. This is the stage most people can actually see if they happen to drive past a station during a delivery. But even then, the system is still more hidden than it looks. At the station, the truck is usually not filling some obvious above-ground tank next to the building. In many retail stations, the gasoline is stored in underground storage tank systems. EPA defines an underground storage tank system as a tank and any underground piping connected to it with at least 10% of the combined volume underground, and notes that nearly all regulated USTs contain petroleum. That means when you stand beside a gas pump, a large part of the station's fuel infrastructure is literally below your feet. The truck unloads into underground tanks. Those tanks connect to underground piping. The dispenser pulls fuel up from that hidden storage system, and then the pump meter measures what you buy. That last part matters too, because gasoline is sold by volume. NIST notes that state weights and measures officials check gas pumps to help ensure consumers receive the amount of fuel they are paying for, and that fair fuel transactions depend on accurate volume measurement all the way through the system. So by the time fuel flows into your car, the journey has already included extraction, long-distance transport, industrial refining, product testing, terminal blending, trucking, underground storage, and retail metering. And this is what makes gasoline such a perfect hidden infrastructure topic. Most people think about the car, some think about the pump, very few think about the full chain behind the pump. But the system behind that nozzle is huge. It stretches from oil fields to refineries, from pipelines to blending terminals, from tanker trucks to the underground tanks at a station forecourt. It is a chain that has to keep moving continuously, because a disruption at one point can ripple outward into shortages, price spikes, or local supply problems. EIA has specifically noted that disruptions to pipelines, storage terminals, barge traffic, or ethanol supply can constrain gasoline infrastructure and supply. That is also why gas often feels normal in a way EV charging does not yet feel normal to many people. The gasoline system has had generations to spread out, harden, and disappear into the background. Most drivers do not think about how fuel got there because the network is already built deeply into daily life. It feels natural only because the infrastructure is so mature and so easy to overlook. So the next time you stand at a gas pump, it is worth remembering what is really happening. You are not just buying liquid from a local machine. You are tapping into a giant supply system that began with crude oil, passed through refining and blending, moved across pipelines and roads, and ended in a hidden storage system under a station forecourt before it finally reached your car. That is how gas gets to your car. And like so many hidden systems, the better it works, the easier it is to forget that anything remarkable is happening at all. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to Hidden Infrastructure of the World. Also, comment down below what hidden infrastructure you want to see next. See you in the next video.